Hello, my friends. I want us to take a little journey together right now. Let's go back to the last time you received your blood test results. I can imagine, just like you, we've been trained to look for one single number cholesterol. We believe it's the gold standard for heart health. But I'm certain that deep down, many of us feel a contradiction. Why can people with dream cholesterol numbers still suddenly collapse from a heart attack? It seems there's something the cholesterol story has left out. And here is the truth I want to share with you. The real problem doesn't lie in the total cholesterol number itself. Focusing on it is like worrying about the amount of traffic on a highway while forgetting that the road surface itself is silently being eroded and cracked from underneath. The real danger, the hidden enemy of our hearts, is precisely that process of erosion. In medicine, we call it low-grade chronic inflammation. It is a smoldering fire silently burning the delicate lining of our arteries, making them weak and vulnerable. And this fire leaves behind traces, wisps of smoke that we can see in our blood, for example, a high CRP level, or an HDL, the good cholesterol that is too low. But these are only indirect signs. So what if I told you that we can measure the very source of the fire itself? Not the smoke, but its actual heat. There is a marker in your blood that does exactly that. A marker that is shockingly overlooked, yet holds the key to the problem. It doesn't just indicate inflammation, it is one of the agents that causes that inflammation. It is called homocysteine. So where does this homocysteine fire come from? Why does it flare up in some people's bodies and not others? The answer doesn't lie in any external agent. It lies in a completely natural process within our bodies, a process that has gone awry. Imagine your liver as an incredibly busy biochemical factory. Every day when you eat protein-rich foods like meat, fish, and eggs, you are supplying the factory with a raw material called methionine. This is an essential amino acid, a building block of life. The factory takes this methionine, and in a natural production line, it is converted into an intermediate product. That intermediate product is homocysteine. In a perfectly functioning factory, homocysteine exists only for a moment. Immediately, it is processed in two ways. Either it is recycled back into precious methionine, or it is converted into an extremely powerful antioxidant, the bodyguard that protects your cells named glutathione. This is a beautiful and efficient cycle. Homocysteine appears and then immediately disappears. The fire is kept under control, but the problem occurs when this production line gets stuck right at the homocysteine step. Imagine these intermediate products are not processed further. They begin to pile up. The level of homocysteine accumulates higher and higher, spilling out of the factory and into the bloodstream. And at this point, from a harmless intermediate product, it becomes a toxin, an inflammatory agent, the very layer of rust that is corroding your blood vessels. So what causes this production line to get stuck? There are three main reasons, and I believe that many of us will recognize ourselves in them. The first reason, and perhaps the most common, lies in the factory's blueprint, your very own genes. There is a specific gene called MTHFR. You don't need to remember this complicated name. Just know that it's like the foreman of the recycling line. But in about 40% of the population, this foreman works at only half capacity. They have a genetic variant that makes the recycling of homocysteine sluggish. This is not a disease, but a genetic trait. It means you have a natural tendency for homocysteine to accumulate more easily. Have you ever wondered why heart disease runs in families? This is one of the biggest reasons. The second reason is that your factory is lacking tools and supplies. For this production line to run smoothly, it needs special workers, and those are the B vitamins, specifically vitamin B6, B12, and especially the active form of vitamin B9, also known as folate. Without enough of these workers, even if your MTHFR gene foreman is perfectly fine, the production line will still grind to a halt. This is why a nutritionally deficient diet can directly cause this inflammatory condition. And the third reason is that other parts of the factory are overloaded. Your kidneys are the waste disposal system, helping to filter out excess homocysteine. If kidney function declines, this escape route is shut down. Furthermore, heavy alcohol consumption or having a fatty liver also creates an enormous burden, causing the entire factory to operate less efficiently. You see, high homocysteine isn't a mystery. It is the predictable result of one or more factors: your genetic blueprint, a deficiency in nutritional tools, and the overall health of your body's organs. And the good news: once we understand the root cause, we can absolutely intervene. Now, having understood the root cause, we come to the most important part. How do we extinguish this fire? How do we truly prevent a heart attack and not just manage the consequences? The answer seems very simple. Supplement with the B vitamins that your factory is missing. And this is where we encounter one of the biggest and most common mistakes in modern medicine. A mistake that I believe has unintentionally contributed to many tragedies. That is the story of folic acid. You have likely heard a lot about it. Obstetricians recommend it for pregnant women. Food manufacturers are required to fortify bread cereals and pasta with it. They do this with good intentions to prevent neural tube defects in infants. But a critical truth has been overlooked. Folic acid is a synthetic artificial form of vitamin B9. Our bodies, especially in those with a poorly functioning MTHFR gene, cannot use folic acid directly. It needs to be converted into its active form, the natural form the body recognizes, called methylfolate, or 5-MTHF. Imagine trying to fit a fake key folic acid into a cell's lock. It might fit, but it cannot open the door. Worse yet, this fake key gets stuck in the lock, preventing the real key methylfolate that your body makes from food from ever getting in. So what happens when you consume too much folic acid from processed foods and cheap synthetic vitamins? You end up in a deeply ironic paradox. You can be full of inactive folic acid, yet deficient in the active folate needed to extinguish the homocysteine fire. This unmetabolized folic acid can even cause many other health problems. This is an extremely important lesson. When we talk about what causes a heart attack, we must look beyond the obvious factors. Sometimes our own efforts at prevention, if not done correctly, can become part of the problem. So the real solution isn't to take just any B vitamin. It's to take the right kind of B vitamin in the right form that your body can use immediately. We need methylfolate, 5-MTHF, not folic acid. Methylcobalamin, the active form of B12, not cheap cyanocobalamin. And P5P, the active form of B6. These are the skilled, proficient workers who can immediately get to work repairing the stalled production line and bringing down toxic homocysteine levels. Understanding this difference is the first step for you to truly take control of your heart health, to know how to prevent a heart attack effectively from the root cause. So now, how can you, the person watching this video, begin your journey? The first step, and also the most important, is the knowledge you have just gained. You cannot fix a problem that you don't know exists. Today, you have learned about homocysteine, and that is a huge advantage. The next step is action. The next time you have a health checkup, be bold and proactive. Say to your doctor, "Doctor, in addition to the usual tests, I would like to check my homocysteine level and my HS-CRP level to assess for inflammation." You have every right to know these numbers as they are part of your health story. If your number is higher than the ideal level of under 8, please don't panic. Consider it an opportunity. It is a warning sign of a heart attack, that you have been fortunate enough to discover early before it's too late. It is not a sentence, but a call for you to change. And that change is entirely within your grasp, starting with simple things in your kitchen. Reduce the amount of processed foods that are fortified with synthetic folic acid. Instead, make friends with dark leafy greens like spinach, asparagus, and broccoli, as they are the source of natural folate that your body craves. Alongside that, consider supplementing intelligently. Finding a high-quality B-complex product that contains the active forms we've discussed like methylfolate. Methylcobalamin and P5P is not an extravagance. It is an investment in your healthy and peaceful years ahead. I know many people often ask, what does a heart attack feel like? The truth is, it can be very different for each person. The heart attack symptoms in women are often vague and different. Sometimes it's just unusual fatigue, shortness of breath, or pain in the back or jaw. It's not always the intense chest pain like we see in the movies. But the goal of our conversation today is not for us to wait and try to recognize those symptoms. Our goal is to act so that they never have a chance to happen. The knowledge you've gained today is the most powerful tool to answer the question of how to survive a heart attack alone after 60. And the best answer is, don't let it happen in the first place. Your heart has worked tirelessly for you for so many years. Now is the time for you to give it the right kind of care based on the deepest understanding. Listen to your body, ask the right questions, and act on your knowledge. Thank you for spending your precious time to listen. I hope this conversation brings you peace of mind and strength in your actions. Please take good care of yourself.